What's going on, everybody? So, another brew session, an evening one. This is going to take me well into the evening, late evening to get it done. I do have running water in the shed now. It's a temporary connection that I can always just hook up and disconnect, so that's awesome. No more opening the shed doors for anything. It stays nice and cool in here during the whole process, other than when I'm turning the camera on to talk to you guys, because I figured you probably don't want to hear the AC noise, right? So, anyways, let's talk about the beer we're brewing. This is another recipe out of the Clone Brews book. I've been meaning to do several beers out of this, and I figured, why not? You know, better late than never. I've had this book for a little while, and so we're gonna do it. We're gonna brew these beers and see how they turn out. Now, this particular beer is called Brooklyn Summer Ale. It's by the Brooklyn Brewery out of Brooklyn, New York. And they say this summer ale is classified as a light dinner ale reminiscent of the English ale brewed from the 1800s through 1940. Brooklyn Brewery has revived this style, also referred to as a family ale or luncheon ale, because of its light, refreshing character. That's what we're looking for, man. Summertime's here. This is an ale. This beer will be ready in 3 weeks, not like a lager where I have to wait like 8 weeks. So I like brewing ales just because their availability to drink is sooner than later, as with a lager. Unless you pressure ferment, and I don't pressure ferment, at least not yet. But anyways, it's good for April through July. It pairs well with summer foods, and it adapts nicely as an ingredient in a Beurre Blanc napped over springtime baby asparagus. This beer pours into a glass with a nice sunny yellow color, capped with a fluffy white head, light-bodied ale, light aroma of floral hops and a hint of malt. The palate delicately opens with a fine balance of malt and hops. The finish is short and mimics the palate. Brooklyn Summer Ale is a nice friend to spend a lazy afternoon with. This is a light beer, guys. The grain bill's like 8.875 pounds. It's not much at all. We're looking at a 4.5% ABV, very light beer. You can drink a lot of these, and it's not a dangerous beer like a lot of the ones I've brewed in the past. So anyways, yeah, so let's talk about the grain bill. We're using just a British 2-row. I'm actually going with Golden Promise. I think it's Golden Promise. Yeah, we're going with, actually no. Yeah, we're going with Golden Promise malt. Mutton's Crystal 40 for color. This is actually a recipe called for Crystal 55. Could not find 55, so we went 40. It's going to make it a little bit lighter in color, not too bad though. And torrified wheat. Now the torrified wheat, all it's really going to do is it's going to add like a nice smooth mouthfeel, and it's going to make the head of the beer it'll be a fluffier head on the beer when you pour the beer. So it's going to be, presentation wise, this beer should be beautiful. So anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get this grain mashed in and get this rolling, man. 90-minute mash, 152. Strike temp of 155 because the grain was kind of warm. So we should be good, man. So let's rock and roll. Alright guys, 90-minute mash and counting. So we'll get back here when the mash is done. This is the part where you just kind of chill, have a beer, talk with some friends. If you got friends over with you brewing. In my case, most of the time I brew alone, but I always video these anyways. But I'd video them if anyone was here, and I would just make the disclosure that if you're going to be here while I'm brewing, you're going to be on camera. So, anyways, 90-minute mash, and we'll come back. I don't know why it says 90-minute mash. I figure 60-minute mash would probably be just as well, but I'm just going to go by what the Clone Brews book says, and we'll see what happens. Alright guys, mash is done. I'm going to go ahead and kill the pump here. We're going to hoist this bugger up and get the excess moisture out of the grains, like we usually do, you know? If you see my other videos, I hoist this thing up, rake the grains, let it sit there for a minute. I let this the kettle start going up the temp. By the time I get that grain basket out of there and everything, we're ready to boil. Let's do this. Got my little collection vessel here. First thing I'm going to do is close off this valve. And I'm going to disconnect this hose first to collect at the bottom here. And do like the strainer on down. Empty the hose out. I did have some, I always get a little drippage from this. Not a big deal. So I'm going to take the hose off and make a noise. I'm going to put this in the sink now that I have one. Next, I'm going to close this valve so that way nothing flows out. Pop this guy loose. Okay. I still spill a little, but not like I used to, man. I've gotten this down to a science almost. Let that drip. I'll have to wipe that up, of course. Let me clean this up right quick. I'm just going to pour this back into the kettle. I'm going to take the lid off. Got my two J-clips here, just going to set them out of the way for a minute. Go ahead and hook my hoist up. And go ahead and hoist her up. And let it drain some. Clip over here. Just basically putting J-clips on each side. Alright, just going to rake through the grain here. Get any moisture out of it. Alright, that's pretty good. A lot of it's drained out pretty good. This is a smaller bill, like I said, so it wasn't that heavy to pull out this time. Alright, that's that. Just going to let it sit and continue to drip a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and ramp this bad boy up to a boil. I'm just going to go ahead and go into manual mode here. And I'm going to set it to 55%. That'll give us that pulsating boil. That way we're not boiling off a ridiculous amount of my wort here. because it is worked at this point. It's all the sugars and everything's been extracted from the grain. So now we're essentially have the very early version of the beer here. So once we get to boil, we will add in an ounce of these Perle hops, ounce of these guys, and that'll go for 90 minutes, and then we will do the next hop addition after that. So get back to you when we're close to boil. Alright guys, we've hit boil, so we're going to go ahead and put in our 90-minute boil addition Perle bittering hops here. Just do them in a hop spider right now. Set our timer for 45 minutes, and then we'll add in a 1/4 ounce of Cascades, a 1/4 ounce of Amarillo, and a 1/4 ounce of Fuggles in 45 minutes. Right here, let's see. Oh man, guys, this is crazy. Is that right? I think we're going to be on the money on this brew. I suspected that when I actually tasted it. I had stirred it earlier, stirred the mash a little bit earlier, just to kind of make sure it was broken up. Probably about the halfway point I did stir the mash a little bit. And when I took the rake out, I got a little bit on my hand and it was really sweet. I was like, man, I think the conversion was really good this time. And based on this 1040 pre-boil, and I'm supposed to get like a 1046, 1047, somewhere in there. We might hit right about 1046, I think, on this after this boils off. So that's pretty promising. So anyways, I'll get back to you when we add the next set of hops. Alright guys, I realized something in the book. I'm not supposed to add hops at 45 minutes in of the boil. I'm supposed to add the hops at 15 minutes prior to the boil is over, and then after 10 minutes I add the last aroma hop additions. So I had a little bit backwards because the way they wrote this clone brews book is a little confusing sometimes in the way they did it. But so we're not going to add any hops here at the 45-minute mark. We're actually going to go for another 30 minutes, add our flavor hops, and then add our aroma hops 5 minutes prior to flame out. So I'll get back with you here when we add the next hop addition. We're done. So now I got to get this beer chilled and into the fermenter. Check it out. I'll show you this, the new chill setup. Let me kill the burner first here. Alright, turn the heat off. It's no longer boiling. Check it out. Man, now that I have a sink in here, my world has already changed. I'm making way less messes also, and it's a lot easier to clean up in here already. But I just got a simple hose that I cut. You know, simple garden hose, just put it in here. Then I have, I found a, actually found a this is a 1/2 inch connector, you know, because this little spray doodad, some of them aren't 1/2 inch, but mine just happened to be 1/2 inch. And I went to the big box store and found a adapter piece basically in the plumbing area that was 1/2 inch, and it just screws right in, and I can just hook the hose to it. Works really good too. If I turn the water on, you'll see going through the chiller. Works good, man. So this is how I chill my booze now. Just right here. Run it right through the plate chiller right there on the table. It just gonna, in a perfect world, it should work fine. Just run through, back into the kettle. Boom. Simple setup, man. And plate chiller, the more I use this plate chiller, I know I talked a lot of crap about it in the beginning, but the more I use it, man, the more I love the amount of space it takes up. So that's a plus for sure. I don't remember how much these plate chillers are. I think this particular plate chiller is like a $75 chiller. I think that's how much Clawhammer is selling it for. I could be wrong, but anyways, I'm gonna get this beer flowing and into the kettle here, and for a few minutes to cool down, and then into the fermenter. Alright guys, I'm going to kick on the stasis. I got it all hooked up to the fermenter. I'm going to select fermenter 1 and we're going to set it to 68 degrees. I had it way down to lagering temp last time, so got to kick it way back up. Oop, too high. Let's say on, and that's it. It'll kick on, start pumping the glycol through. See, it says 90 degrees. That's how hot it is. There's no way I can throw yeast in there right now. So I'll do it tomorrow. But yeah. Anyways, let's look and see what the final gravity was. I did collect about 5.5 gallons in this fermenter. All right, guys. So you got just a wee bit of sample. That's what I like about refractometers, man. It's like you don't need much of the solution to take a measurement. You don't waste as much of your brew. So you can go ahead. I mean, it's trivial anyways when you do use a hydrometer, but I love my refractometer. So we're going to go ahead and see what we ended up with here. I said, what, 1045? Book says I should get like 1047 or so. Let's see. Yep, book says 1046 or 1047. So let's see what we ended up with. It came in right about 1044. So I was definitely under what the book says. Which I usually am, honestly, but still I'm not going to complain. It's still going to be a decent beer. It's going to be right around 4.1, 4.2%, I think. So I'll take it. So that's it, man. I have a mess to clean up and then I'm going to bed because it's late. But I got my brew in because I'm getting ready to go on vacation here. And by the time you see this video, I'll be back from vacation. So, but anyways, thanks for joining me on this brew sesh, and we'll follow up here tomorrow when I do the pitching of the yeast. Cheers. All right, guys, it's the next day, and we have our yeast pack here. I don't know if anybody is familiar with how these work, but this particular pack of yeast, and they're not cheap. Like it's like, you know, yeast is not cheap, man. It's like $8 just for the yeast, you know, depending on what you buy. But basically, there's a little pouch in here of nutrients and stuff to get the yeast really going. It's like a little bubble-filled pouch. What you do is you smack this, and then it releases that nutrient throughout the yeast pouch. Then you just give it a good shake, and you just set it and let it get the room temp almost. And while it's doing it, it inflates and gets huge. So this be this big bubble pack. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and smack this. See if I can find it here. There it is. See if I can get it. Nope, missed it. Let's go towards the top. Smack it. Oh, almost. Sometimes they can be tricky because they can kind of squish around in there, and I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. You just kind of feel around until you feel no bubble anymore, and then you know you got it. So then what you do, give it a good shake just to get that mixed up real good. And we're just going to take it and set it on the table until we're ready to pitch it. So it'll sit over here. Right there on the table. So we'll get back here when we actually pitch the yeast, huh? Now I'm going to take my pack of yeast that I've sanitized. That's what it looks like on the inside. Pack of yeast. And there's that little pouch I was talking about. nutrient pouch. So what I want to do is try to keep the pouch from going in there. I'm going to pinch the yeast in there. Alright, now those puppies are going to go to work and make us some delicious beer. Anyways guys, I don't want to take any more of your time. I appreciate you coming in and checking out the video. If you haven't, like and subscribe, and let's continue to grow my channel as much as we can, guys. I've been doing this for a while, and I need to build this channel up some more. So cheers. Share, share, share.